Hello, hello. What's up, Alex? How you doing tonight? Small crowd this week. Definitely. I can't complain. Always plenty of people, always people interacting. But this week has been a little bit of a harder one for a lot of people, so having a smaller audience on weeks like those, definitely all right. Hopefully you did good this week, Alex, or at least learned good. I do not know at which state you're at. I see you posting charts here and there, definitely doing well. So hopefully everything has been going great on that end as well. Now, in regards to this week's price action, it was pretty clear structure, right? Open, expanded into a high. We initially failed to close below this low, was looking for a swing, and early on today, yesterday I said that I was going to be looking for longs if we confirm my swing, right? But we did not, and we just expanded lower. And as we said in our weekly outlooks, we have clear targets with the liquidity void below, a very clear draw for price. Sadly, $250 down, but keeping my head up. Yes, sir, it could be a lot worse. When I started, I used to blow accounts like it was nothing. And it wasn't funded accounts. I didn't know about those until quite later. But I used to put like 100, $150 in a trading account, and I wasn't trading futures back then, and I would just blow that in a day, for example. And then I'd be like, oh, I could have made money in this different way. But as you learn, you have to see that as an investment. I believe that's the best way to go about it, truly. So that money that you're currently losing, if you're doing it right, it is an investment. If you're gambling in a way, then you're just gambling. But if you're actually putting in the time, you're taking notes, you're reviewing why and how things happen, then in that case, it is an investment into your future. And trust me, it is an investment with a great return. All right. So keep your head up, keep going. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that it's going to flip around for you. You're here always, you're always grinding. So definitely have a lot of faith in you on that end. To get right into it, right? For me to look for long setup, what would I have needed to see? Well, let's do a little drawing. I feel like we talk about this quite a bit, but I would need, let's say this is the daily open. All right, this is a new day. So let's actually make it a little different. So this would be a new day. I need the price action to indicate. So consolidation, of course, it can always be consolidation towards the high or consolidation towards the low. But for me to look for longs, I would need to see a manipulation lower, which means a sizable and energetic move lower, to then go higher. Did we have this today? We had consolidation, followed by an energetic move lower to previous day low. But for me to really consider longs, I would have needed this, price pretty much to reverse at this point, and then I could look for longs. But now, since we expanded through previous day low, that tells me we're bearish. So yes, I did take a long. I'm going to show you guys the long, but I did not expect it to go all the way up. I was looking at London High, I'm not going to lie. That was my final objective on my long, but I did not expect it to trade all the way up to previous day high. This cluster right here of probabilities was a big objective for me. We did not reach it, but we had some nice upside movement. As you can see from this red line here, that was our news for the day, right? We had new home sales at 10 a.m. So it was a little bit of a harder one to go higher, kind of like yesterday, right? Higher resistance price movement. But still, you had some nice opportunities to go long, and you also had a nice short opportunity for continuation. And if we actually plot this range, right, which is your current daily range at any point in time, your first premium in efficiency is all the way up here. It's in deep premium. If you guys remember, I like to also split this into quarters and to say, well, look, I'd like to find an inefficiency pretty much in this bottom quarter. So 15-minute would have been a little too high, 5-minute, same thing until you get to those order blocks. So if you use the full cluster, then price traded back into it. If you only use the last candle, it sadly did not. Now, when do I decide I use the last candle? When do I use the full cluster? Very simple stuff here. When I'm looking at higher time frame order blocks, I'm going to use consecutive candles. So for example, all of these consecutive bullish candle, once we trade below it, is an order block in my book. Now, in this case, it's pretty extremes, and I would never use an order block in discount of a range. a bearish order block and discount. But just to give you guys an insight. So for me, that was my level that I was like, okay, well, after we hit this, I can now look for continuations. But if we look right here, this candle is a bullish candle. So even if you use the last candle, actually, you would have been fine, right? I like to mention it, and yeah, you can only see it's a bullish candle if you zoom in or look at the values, of course. But this is your first premium in efficiency. And as you can see, we saw a continuation from that part. So if you were long, this would be your target for retracement. So if I'm trading longs that are retracement move, this is my objective. If you're trading longs and you expect expansion, like I was, right? This was my partial, this was my follow-up. Well, in a case like this, I still go break even there. And if I see a reaction off of this, I'm not interested in the move anymore, and I can now close it. We'll go down now to the 1 minute, but I did want to mention that piece because we actually had some pretty decent price action of accumulation. We just didn't have a clear manipulation since we didn't have SMT at these highs of a higher time frame perspective. We had a large accumulation lower, retracement, continuation to close the day. So still a decent amount, a decent price action that gave you plenty of setups, right? But as soon as we expanded past previous day low, this is where you'd start to question those levels right there. What is this line? This is my weekly open. Okay, let's remove this for now. It was relevant yesterday, but it is not relevant at the moment. I just want to focus on the specifics since we don't have any clear frameworks, right? London framework told me to go long. Honestly, if that was your only bias for today, congrats. I sometimes get overwhelmed and actually confuse myself by looking at too many things. But for me, I was looking for longs. Now, the news didn't do much. It is an orange impact news. As you guys know from the weekly outlook and the announcement, I am looking to trade that news still because it still provides volatility for the session for the day. And right at that point in time, we actually had a very nice bullish breaker. Right at the news, we formed that bullish breaker. It's kind of hard to see with this solid line, so let's actually change this. Let's make it a dotted line, or here, even better, let's do dashed. So as we can see, we formed the breaker block, right? This is a swing low right here. We broke the low, then broke the high, forming this bullish breaker, and we had some very nice price action right after. Well, I mean, it didn't give the entry right away, but if you look at the volume imbalance, it was just a few candles later, right? So you would have waited a little bit. Is this breaker block in close proximity? Is this fair value gap, sorry, in close proximity? Yes, it is. Now, if we look at the stop loss, you have fair value gap, you have no inversions fair value gap, but you have order block and order block with that data low, which is just an important point in liquidity that I don't want to see us reach. You have a very nice setup. Now, did it come very close to stopping you out? Yes. Do I think that this should be, do I think that everyone held through that and had no issue? No, right? Especially when at some point you're up 1.7 R, so you might be looking to take profit here. And then if you go break even, well, you would have missed out on this whole move. Well, yes, these are the type of days where you just have to click and let it go. I personally did not, right? It's honestly, that's where it comes to variance. There's some times that I will hold through it, right? I believe we had an example just last week of a trade that you enter and then it consolidates a while and you would have held through. I believe I showcased that last week. But now, today, I did not. So when I saw this consolidation that just had a very hard time, I didn't go break even actually. I trailed my stop, which is a mistake, if you're wondering. Definitely a mistake. So I basically should have went break even or not touched it at all. Those are my two options. But today I decided to bring it up and trail my stop, which was a mistake, obviously. And it led to me almost having a full loss. And I decided to close my day there. Very simple. I already had a good week, right? It's Friday. We're going to have an insane week next week with a lot of news. The week after is NFP. There's no reason for me to enter drawdown today. It is that simple. There's no reason for me to have a maximum losing day. I'd much rather just close my day with one loss, be happy that it's over, and if you guys play video games, just go next, right? Just wait for the next day. It's an expression we use in gaming. I'm having a hard time defining it, but really just ending my day there was a great option for me. But truly, I should have been break even on this move at least, or not trailed my stop at all. I tend to be more on the conservative side and very happy with just taking a break even and then having another opportunity. For example, if I would have went break even after this consolidation, right? Which means I would be out of this trade at break even here. Well, I would have had an amazing opportunity right after the 1050 to 1110 macro, sorry. Well, I mean, it would have led to a loss first, right? Because right here, you would have had a nice setup, definitely a good trade on that end, which would have stopped you out pretty much right away. And then afterwards, you would have had a nice, successful winning unicorn with a 3PD array stop loss in this case, inversion, fair value gap, pretty tight stop here. So definitely a lot more return and a clear objective, right? The current high of, not of day actually, but the current high of the session, right? Opening range high, if you prefer, would have been a great objective for partial 2.55R. Honestly, that's more like a full trade. If I just took a loss, break even, loss, this is just a full trade. I'm getting out at this move. There's nowhere I'm going to be holding further. There's just no reason to for me. So definitely some good reasons for me to go conservative. This is what I like to do. But truly, especially if you're a beginner, don't give yourself options, because options lead to mistakes, right? Especially when you don't have the experience to back it up. So you know that your target is going to be here for a partial and then London high for a full target, which in this case would not have worked out, right? Let's be honest. But for me, that is the narrative and the bias that I was coming in for the day. Well, you would have had a partial at 3.21R and then gotten stopped out, break even at the end of the day, or perhaps manually closed. But definitely, this is what you should look for as a beginner. Just take the trade, and as soon as you click that button, it's either you're fully right or fully wrong, and you follow some very specific rules to allow you to do so. So definitely, that is what I recommend. Now, if you missed any sort of morning longs, well, you would have had some nice opportunities for a PM short. As you guys can see, we did not reach lunch low. But does this mean that we don't have a lunch rate? No, because as soon as we take out this high right here, and this is, let's use the actual range. I forgot that last time I used a noon to 130, noon to 1, I mean. We used the 130 here. As soon as we take out this high, you can start looking for a short with the objective being lunch low. That is our lunch rate framework, right? So from that point on, I'm looking for a bearish breaker to form right after this. No bearish breaker, no bearish breaker, up until this point right here. This is the first bearish breaker that was formed. And as you guys can see, you have a very nice opportunity for an entry. I was looking here for possible entry, and we could say that this is your entry. Honestly, that is the mechanical entry. And it's in close proximity. I mean, it's hard for me not to consider this, right? I was going to say, well, what if you look at this fair value gap or this fair value gap? This would be right. Honestly, even this fair value gap would be close enough for me to consider. So let's be pessimistic here. You guys know me. During these reviews, we're analyzing charts with hindsight. And this is a move that I personally did not trade today. So I like to be pessimistic, right? So you're entering on the worst possible entry, which in this case is this fair value gap. And then you have your 3PD array stop loss rule actually would be inversion fair value gap order block. So you would actually get stopped out on this move. That is unfortunate. I did not notice that. So the actual the actual pessimistic entry would have stopped you out. Even if you use this inversion fair value gap, this would still count as a PD array. So this is just a clear loss. It's been rough this week. It's really all about having one loss and then the next one is the win, which is pretty unfortunate. I see this bearish breaker form. Do we have an entry? It got formed right here. I mean, once again, this would be a valid entry, right? It is overlapping, so really can't consider anything else. 3PD array stop loss rule. You have, once again, inversion, fair value gap, order block. So loss, loss, wow. I saw the successful framework, right, of lunch high, giving you options to short, but I did not see the losses that would have come from it. So it's kind of nice to see it now. And yes, perhaps we can consider maybe that final short would have worked. This is why I personally don't like trading the PM session. Of course, maybe you guys can study and look to only trade the power hour, only trade after 2 p.m. power of 3. I mean, there's plenty of options out there. Personally, they're just not for me. I really don't like trading the PM session because more often than not, it is consolidation that leads to this. Having a successful move that would have stopped you out like 2 or 3 times before having that successful trade. I mean, at that point, is it worth it to have a 4R trade if you took 4 losses before it? No, definitely not, right? So that's my personal choice, right? It was nice to see the successful lunch high, lunch raid, but really opportunities were slim today for the Rise model. It's been a weirder week. Yesterday there was plenty of opportunity, but just for small moves, right? There were 2 to 3 hour trades. Today there was the opportunity for a nice 3 hour framework, but if you didn't catch this, then you would have had losses on losses. Yeah, just a harder week. I mean, Wednesday was very nice price action. Monday as well. You would have had plenty of opportunity there, but you can't always do good. That's what I like to believe. At least it might be an excuse that I'm saying for my model, but you guys know me. We have always good weeks and then sometimes out of the blue bad weeks, which is why they are surprising. Do you have any questions, Alex? You're here alone at the end. Do you have any questions before we call it a night? No questions. Unless you're typing. I'm gonna give you a sec. All right. Oh, you're still typing. I'm gonna wait. All right. All I have to say is that I really appreciate those PA reviews. Thanks again. See you Sunday for the weekly live. Yes, see you Sunday for the weekly outlook. I'm glad you appreciate them. Thank you for the kind words. Definitely appreciate that. And you have a great night, Alex. All right? Take some time off. You know the routine, right? The weekend is for recharging. So take that time to recharge.